Hello, everyone. We are here again this week. Welcome, welcome, welcome in. Listen, I'm going to give you all a moment to text a friend, to tweet to a friend, to tag a friend, because we're giving away some great things tonight. So make sure you go ahead and tag your friend, loved ones, because I want you all to be able to hear what is taking place tonight. It's going to be awesome. So I'll give you a few minutes to get on in here, okay? We are still waiting for others to come on in here. Make sure you tag a friend, make sure you text a friend,
And
get them all
share,
together
share,
and share.
share.
Yes, you have to share because tonight, when you share, guess what? You're going to end up getting something. So, we're going to be sharing with you as well tonight. We have a great lineup tonight. We have some powerhouses tonight, especially for those who've been going through and they're trying to figure a way out for themselves and how to make it better because we all know that 2020 has been an interesting year. So, I'm going to give you all a few more seconds to get in here.
And Fabian, when they come in, tell us hello. We'd love to see your comments in the comment line. Last week was really, really good. If you weren't able to join us last week, there you can see it again. We did interview master trainer Nisi Ewing of Uncovering the New You. Excellent episode. So if you missed it, be sure to go to Optic Tea with LonnieB to see it.
All
Hello, Miss
right.
Wanda.
Yes. You see them in? All righty. So, we're live. We're live. This is awesome. Okay, so tonight we have a great lineup. I am Fabian Jackson. I really do appreciate Optic Tea for allowing me to be their moderator tonight because we have some powerhouses. The Dallas inspired divas. And look what I have, you all. I'm bragging. Okay. My darling dear got this for me. Dallas, Texas. I'm,
Yay!
rep- I'm representing Dallas, Texas, all the way from the East Coast. But without further ado, we have all of these great, great ladies here lined up. We have Arthur Miko Kraut. Let me talk to you a little bit about Miko. She's an executive producer, best-selling author, public speaker, a fintech geek. I love that. And she is a Dallas inspiration. We are also waiting for our other guest, Dr. Lori Butler. She's an educator, author, and consultant, and is also a Dallas inspiration, and none other than Alonda Barber, better known to you all as LonnieB with Optic Tea. She's the owner and CEO of Persebility, and she is an author, CEO, and founder at LonnieB Creative Designs. So, how has 2020 been treating you, ladies? Let's start off with
It's
you,
been
Lonnie. How's it been treating you?
Oh, wow. 2020 has been interesting, I will say. I actually, at the beginning of the pandemic, was able to launch a second book, actually a third book, Finding Joy in the Journey. That was a collaboration with 89 other authors. The visionary behind it was Vanessa Blackwell. And it talked about how to actually navigate through grief and how to handle grief. So it's very good. And each author had a chapter to share their own personal testimony. So that was a good thing for me. And then, of course, I was able to birth what we're watching tonight, Optic Tea with LonnieB. So I'm truly excited about that. And, doors have just been opening. So for me, 2020 was actually, I have to say, was good for me, other than being, well, I can't even say being in the house because I'm a homebody anyway. Miko will tell you that. Lori, Dr. Butler can tell you that. I'm pretty much a homebody anyway. So um, it's been good. It's been interesting and it's been good. From a political standpoint, very interesting. Dealing with the Black Lives Matter movement, it actually afforded me the opportunity to be my voice for my color of skin because I'm self-employed. So I didn't have to worry about the political nuances of the corporate America anymore. So for me, I have to say it's been everything. It's been a little bit of hurt. It's been a little bit of pain, but for the most part, it has been good, and it's definitely according to God's plan.
I'm so glad you mentioned that in regards to your voice. Oftentimes, so many people want to start a business or they want to step away from corporate America, but for some reason they're still tied in so many ways. What would you say to someone listening right now if they do have this dream or to aspire to do something out of the ordinary or the norm? What would you encourage them with to get started?
To start a business, do it.
Just do it. Simple as that.
The first thing is getting over the stop finding excuses, making excuses. You don't have to find them. We make them, we create them. Stop self sabotaging and just do it because we'll find, the greatest fear is economic finances. But this pandemic has showed us that you can do more with less than you can more with more. So
I like
I
that.
stop making excuses and just do it.
Just do it because all of you ladies have that great thing in common, jumping out and making it happen, and then of course being an author. Miko, let's turn it to you. How has 2020 been treating you?
Ooh, you know, I would, harp on the negative because, we can all say the negative. So I'm learning how to live in what I call pure living. I focus on the pure happiness that has been provided to me by God. So if I want to live that happy, pure life, I have to focus on the good things. But one thing about 2020, the years before, I kept complaining about how tired I was. It felt like I got off a plane, went straight to an event, went to work, got back on the plane to come, back to Phoenix and then back to Dallas. And I was complaining like, ooh, I prayed for this to go back and forth, but now I'm exhausted. So 2020 allowed me what do we call allowed me a shutdown. So with the shutdown, did I lose you, ladies? Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you.
Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh no.
Just keep talking. We hear you. Okay, so while we're dealing with that technical
Technology,
difficulty,
right?
yes, we're dealing with a little bit of technical difficulty, and that's part of everything that we are faced with. What we're going to do here is I want to let everyone know, all of those who are listening, the first three people that we see, I tag a friend or get them in on this here topic tonight. We're giving away some books. So I want you all to get your friends in on this because these are great authors that have going to be talking about their struggles, challenges that they were faced with, and how they were able to overcome. And those are the key things. So I think we have Miko back. Are you there? Yes. So you can pick up from where you left off. I think that technical difficulty still have her frozen. So we're going to go ahead and get it to Lonnie. You there?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Let me see this here. I am going to do something really good. Okay, so let's see. There you are.
Technical difficulties for me.
Okay, so what we're going to do here. So Lonnie, you go ahead and you share with us what you mentioned something
Okay.
in regards to how 2020 was able to kind of like push you to where you need to be. Share with us what brought about what we would say this great innovative way of being to starting Persebility as well as you being the CEO and founder of Your Creative Design. Share with us a little bit, how did that all come about for you?
Um, I had, of course, with the book, my first two books, I had established I am LonnieB. So I had branded I am LonnieB and started. And from there, I begin to want to do what Optic T is doing, which is Perceability. And I did. I'm sorry, did Optic T. And I wanted to have them all under one umbrella for branding purposes.
Mhm.
And so that's how Perceability came out. Everyone's like, okay, is that a word? Actually, it is. You will know Fabian. It is part Spanish and part English. Persevere comes from the Spanish word perceive, and then ility is, of course, the English tag to it. So when you put it together, it's actually the perception, looking deep further into it and how people perceive things. One of the things that I wanted to do when I brought Optic Tea with LonnieB was I wanted people to see the hidden gems across the country. As we go into 2021, there will be individuals who will come on that I call them hidden gems that have so much to offer, but have been, before the pandemic, were limited to a small nucleus because not everyone embraced technology. So it was either had to travel or you had to stay. So now you have that platform. But coming into Optic Tea, it is for every individual to share how they got to where they were, some of the challenges, some of the successes, as well as some of the realizations that they had to face. And was it a roller coaster? What did that roller coaster look like? So that was my reasoning for starting Optic Tea with LonnieB, is to bring forth those hidden gems, to allow people to be exposed um, with things that are coming up today. So
Mhm.
yes.
And I have my tea, so I'm going to take a sip of my tea real quickly. All right, so we have Miko back.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. I am so
yes,
sorry.
it is okay. Hey, listen, this is part of our learning curve on everything. When we're faced with the challenge, what we do, we just have to keep it moving. So where are you located, Miko, right now?
I am in Arizona. We're up in the mountains, so connection is crazy. So
No, I appreciate you joining us back again. So share with us as far as your 2020 and how it all got started for you, because being an author, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of people think it's just all the glitz and the glam. It's to me a humbling experience, because you're now being critiqued prior to it being released. You are,
yes.
depending on the subject, it's a vulnerable type of a topic that it could be touching an area of your life that you're going to be able to share with others. And it's also vulnerability in the sense of you opening up your artistic or your ability to communicate to a person. You're putting these words on paper and you're letting them inside of a story or inside of your own world. So share with us a little bit about how it all got started for you.
So for me, excuse me, it started off with a lot of people always told me about my story should be put on paper. So once I met a young lady, she and a lot of others pushed me into putting it on paper. So once we started working together, I had to be vulnerable. So I had to open up about every aspect from the day I got before the beginning I got married to the ending of my marriage. So I had to be vulnerable in everything. Um, it wasn't a problem about it because I usually joke about it, but just really speaking to someone about it and putting it on paper was very real to me. It opened up old wounds. When you always think you're healed, you're not really healed, because you start opening up old wounds. And I was always told through that process, you have to, the secrets that you have, you need to speak to that person about what you're holding back before the book is published. I'll give you an example. The day of an interview I had, 30 minutes before, I never told my mother that I was raped in college. So I had to call her real quick because the ghostwriter for my book told me, you need to tell your mom. And I'm like, oh God. So I called her. I thought I was being slick. And I called her and I said, hey, Mom, I'm going to run into this interview real quick. But I just wanted to tell you, I was raped in college. I didn't want you to hear it on the radio. And she said, whoa, wait a minute. And I said, I'm going to be late. She said, no, hold up. And she was real sad about it. But, I had to open those wounds up. I even had to tell my youngest son, which I thought he knew. When I told him, he just busted out in tears at a restaurant. So, it was kind of difficult. So I had to release that knowledge that I held in before it was, published. And also, I was told you have to have thick skin because being an author, people are going to critique your words.
Yes.
They're not, some people will look at the story, they're focusing on the story. Others are focusing on the grammar. They're focusing on the spelling and not the story. So you have that 50-50, they can't get past the story because they want to see the grammatical corrections. Some people, they don't care about the grammar and the spelling. They only care about the story and how it can help them. So, it's difficult being an author. It's a lot of pressure. And being an author, people don't realize just because you're an author, you're a business person because that is a brand that you've created. So you're moving from being an author to an entrepreneur because your goal is to sell those books. Some people say their goal is to tell their story, but you can't tell your story unless you sell that book. So you're still building a business off of your book.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point that you make. On that note, as far as being an author, an entrepreneur, I like that. That's my new word now. If I can get it out of my mouth. Knowing that, what would you say is your most influential author, whether alive or are no longer with us, but their stories are still around? Who would you say is the most person that has influenced you to getting to this point in your life?
Oh, I wouldn't say it was an author per se, and some people say it's cheesy. I would say my mother. She's not an author, but she's a business person. We've had our ups and downs, our fights, our discord, but I've seen how hard she worked and how hard, even though she birthed 3 children, she took care of her siblings' kids, and we always had a household full of kids. So, she showed us that we had to work 3 or 4 or 5 jobs to make it. We have to take care of each other no matter what. I don't care if you don't like them, you're going to take care of them. So now she did make us read and, work hard, school and all that, but I can't say it's a particular author, but she introduced Pride and Prejudice to me, and that was my all-time favorite book. People say, really? But since that day one, when I was in junior high school and I got in trouble, and she said, you're going to read this book. I fell in love with that book. I don't know why.
Shout out to Mom for help guiding that path for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. I really do appreciate that. Lonnie, share with us, who would you say would be, even if, as Miko just pointed out, not an author per se, but where would you say your fire came from to stepping into this role as being an author? Unmute yourself.
Sorry, I thought you could hear me through the music. Actually, I will, the person in the flesh, I would honestly say was Dr. Keetra Davenport King. When I went through my transition of being delivered in 2010, we were connected, and she actually guided me because God had given me the vision to write my testimony out. And I connected with her and I started a nonprofit. And over the years, it just kept being, you have a story to tell, you have a story to tell. And when it's ready to be released, it will. Then fast forwarding to 2018, I would have to say, for everyone who doesn't know, Miko is my cousin. And so when she actually did her book, I was actually at her book signing and I met her ghostwriter. And at that time, Angie Ransom Jones. And I met Angie and I said, I have a story for you to write. And I didn't know she was going to pick it up. And she did. And those were the two individuals that were influential to me. Dr. Keetra, during the time when I met her, she has Life After Advocacy Group, and she'll be on in 2021. She used to always say, put a voice to your pain.
Mm.
And so it was like, how, because even though you go through the transition, you still have to go through the total complete healing. And that's a lot of work. And she walked that journey with me. And then when I was at that point, when you can stand and talk about it and you can laugh about it or you can cry about it. And when I stood and I heard Miko, and there was a lot, and I thought Miko and I were thick as thieves, but there were some things when I went off to college that I did not know happened to her. She did not know that I went through, and listening to her and those, and in her book, and I won't give it away, but there's a lot that she talks about that put us all three in a place of vulnerability. That we had to. So I would honestly say that it was Dr. Keetra Davenport King, and then my cousin Miko Krause.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
I know. This is all in the family.
Cry.
Oh, wow. I am so glad to know that, because it's like it's all in the family here. You have mom who inspired you. And then, of course, you then, Miko, inspired Lonnie. And now look where we are today. When you are sharing these words on paper, it is so powerful, because guess what that person can do? They can go back to that page again and reread it. And each time they reread it, they may get a different inspiration. So I appreciate the words that you all are putting down on paper, because a lot of people do not realize how much work and effort it goes into it. So if you were to be sitting talking with someone, regardless of their age, they're just new at this. They're definitely new at entering into this here world. What is something that you can help them like get over? A lot of people say, oh, I get writer's blocks, or I just can't come up with the next paragraph. What will be a tip or something that you can help guide them along the way? If it is a fiction or if it's not fiction, what is something that you can help them if they get to that point where they're stuck?
For me, I will focus on, for those with nonfiction, live in your truth. Don't hold anything back. Because if you're focusing on telling your story, you have to live in your truth. We say we have a writer's block. When you're living in your truth, you're blocking because you don't want to tell that full story. So I would say live in your truth, because your story, like you said, can help someone else. I can be honest, I had to go back and look at my book in 2020, and I'm like, okay, I'm up here trying to speak to other people about healing, being free, living in your truth. But 2020, it put me in a vulnerable state of, I honestly went back through depression in 2020, because 2020 is hard. So, between relocating, social distancing, that was kind of hard for me, because I was used to being around people, even though I like being a homebody, social events or whatever. I can pick and choose when I want to go. Pandemic, it chose for you.
Exactly.
So, being shut down in the house all day long, and then not seeing everyone, and then social media, I tell everyone, and I saw people, I never understood when they say shut down from social media. You have to shut down, because you have some people living in their truth to social media, and you have some people living in lies. They're living a virtual reality because they're posting how wonderful life is, and you're not really being honest. And I have one of those big mouths. I'm honest. I'm having a hard time. I don't care if you saying don't be putting it out there, but I had to go back and read my book and say, look at the blessings that you have been. You're living. You're healthy. You're not sick. And then transitioning, relocating from Dallas to here, 2020, this pandemic educated me on okay, I was shut down personally for a reason because I didn't have opportunity to see everyone. So coming here, I'm in the same state. You know, I'm living the same if I was in Dallas. So I would say live in your truth, be honest with yourself, be honest with anyone else. Just because you heal does not mean you're going to go to that next storm. So just because you wrote your story and you're helping each other don't mean you're going to go to another level of hurt or another level of healing. So just live in your truth and put your story out there to help others.
I like that. So Lonnie,
Yeah.
what would you say to that person who, I mean, she nailed one thing, which is that writer's block. You're blocking your own self. So there's this person that could be viewing right now and is like, you know what, I really would love to do this, but, or I'm already started it. However, what would you say to that person?
I would honestly say to that person, um, fear is not an option.
Mm.
That is a huge block. Fear, fear of the unknown. I'll share this with you all. Right before the show, my godfather called me, and I spoke to him. And there were two things, and I think I shared this with you, Fabian. There were two things that he said. Well, first he said he was proud of me. He couldn't believe it. But the other two things he said, you know, a lot of people say you have to have your character integrity. And he said, but when you're stepping out and you're putting yourself in a position of vulnerability, you also have to have courage and strength. You have to have the courage to actually be vulnerable and to be open. And you have to have the strength to be able to stand solid on what you're speaking, what you're saying, when the naysayers and the yaysayers come along your path. So those are the things that I would say is that whatever you're speaking, you stand firm on it and never waver from it. If you have that block normally comes from that fear of what will others say. And when you put yourself in a position of vulnerability, you cannot be concerned about what others are going to say because your story, your journey is not made for everyone. It's just made for the right one.
I
And
like
what's
that.
it saying? And what's it saying? They're not paying your bills either.
Well, okay, that's where you come in. And you know, and actually Lori's trying to get in. She's still having technical difficulty. But Lori
Okay.
would say the same thing. And it's interesting because Lori's book actually Overcoming. So Miko, we can tag until she comes on.
Yes.
But Lori's book, The Overcoming, was a collaboration. What's interesting is that all three of our books were actually started on the foundation of the same ghostwriter, which was author Angie Ransom Jones.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is that when you are working with Angie, she digs and digs and digs and digs.
I told her
And
she was nosy, and it was we both laughing. But you're right. She has to dig in order to understand who you are in your story. And that was I know one time we were speaking, and I can't remember exactly what topic we was on, but we both started crying because it was like Angie was like, I can't believe it didn't seem real because you know you don't think in a marriage or whatever you go through in life that could happen to someone. So yeah, she digs and she knows how to ask the right questions.
she does.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, I noticed, I'm going to talk a little bit about Miko. I noticed you have one that's called Blinded. Okay. I'm going to put it up here real quickly. A family blinded based on actual events. Share with us a little bit without giving away all the good stuff away. What is that all about?
So this is a story about a young lady named Kayla, who was married to a young man, and they built a family together. But between Kayla and their children, they was living in a life where they was blind. They had their eyes wide open, but was virtually blinded to what was going on. Uh, they understood some things that was occurring in their family home, but they was also turned a blind eye. Um, so it was how Kayla went from loving someone at the beginning to marriage to building a family to deception, transitioning into single parents. I forgot the word, but not truly single because they was adults. But it's all about that in the all-time story of everyone, their life of being married and going into divorce. But it's a little twists and turns in there. But
So basically, they need to read this to get the
they need to
full.
read
That's
yeah,
right. So that one is called
A
A
Family
Family
Blinded.
Blinded. Okay, awesome. I like that. I really do like
And
that
it's
one.
based on some actual events of my life, but you have to read the
But
story.
yes, that's right. Read it. And for that one there, every one of these books that we're going to be talking about, they can all reach them how? Through Amazon or where they're all listed for you all?
So for me, for A Family Blinded, it can be purchased on www.mikokraut.com,
Mhm.
or you can purchase it on Amazon also.
Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, so now, Lonnie, yours here. This one is one of those hot sellers one, okay? This one here that I want you to share with us is talk to us just a little bit without giving away too much. The Journey of a Sister on the Down Low. And I know you all have other books because Mika, you're also a best-selling author. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But Lonnie, share with us about this one here without giving away all the nice nuggets.
So the book is exactly about what it says.
Mhm.
It's fiction based upon true events of my life. Everyone who asks me, okay, can I read it? I say, okay, yes, you can. But it's very uncut, it's raw, and it is uncensored. But that is because that's who I am.
Mhm.
And in order for me to help people to understand that to walk in their truth, I had to be vulnerable. I had to own a lot
Yeah.
in the book. So it's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of mixed emotions, a lot of promiscuity.
Okay.
But Indigo was an interesting character. But there's the adult Indigo who had the little girl inside. Then there's the Indigo as the adult, and then there's Indigo as the little girl. So it's a lot, but it's you have to read it. If you make it past the first chapter, you're good. But it's once again, it is fiction based upon true events of my life.
Mhm.
But the walk away is to walk in your truth.
And that
At
is
that second.
yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. If what will be the takeaway out of both of those stories that we're talking about? With yours is walking in your truth, and what would you say for you, Miko? When someone
I
is
was
finished with that one, what would you say they can walk away with?
My biggest motto is rise above the past and kicks the present ass.
Yes.
So no matter what you go through your storms, God is showering you for greatness.
Yes.
So never be ashamed of what you went through, because that is your testimony, and that is your growth, that God is leading you into your next level. Because it wasn't worth God those trials and tribulations, that mean God wasn't viewing you worth for growing. So enjoy those trials, because
Mhm.
once you go through those showers, you're gonna be awesome.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. I want us, if it's okay with you, Lonnie, because we're still waiting on Lori, touch a little bit on some of her accomplishments. I'm going to put up here her anthology that she was a part of, Overcoming. Share with the viewing artists, because I know they were expecting to hear a little bit from her as well as to some of her accomplishment as far as being on as well, if you don't mind.
So she's actually trying to come in. So I've been texting back and forth. So she's actually given me something that she wants me to speak. Lori's first book release was the collaboration of Overcoming. When she comes in, I'll let her share about that. Lori is I believe Lori's a Dallas native. I really believe. I know we're all around the same age, grew up in the same area. Yes,
School
at
and
Dallas.
all.
Yes.
Same school.
Um, but She does have a new book that's getting ready to come out because Miko is her accountability. It will be released in January, and it's called Jillian's Grateful Journey. It's the story of a disabled child with many abilities as she has no idea she is disabled. The covert commander, a man, is haunted from so many military demons that he has manifested this into his daily life so much that he alienates people from his life intentionally before they become a part of the military manifestation. And so Jillian is actually Lori's child. And she talks about the journey of having the life of Jillian, because if you know Lori, you would never know that Jillian had a disability. You would never know that Jillian had a disability. But there are some intimate things that she will be sharing, that what that journey consisted of. She's opening up, being very vulnerable. Jillian's 18 now, right, Miko?
Right.
So Jillian's 18, so that's a whole challenge in itself, that we actually all converse about. So I'm definitely looking forward to that book, because we see so many parents who have children with disability, and we see the strength, but we never see the weakness. We never see the vulnerability. We never see the pain. We never see the challenges that they have to go through. And I will tell you, there are two ladies outside of, I'm sorry, one other lady outside of Lori, that I've watched, that all grew up around us. And her name is Christina Pugue. She was a model, but you would never know that the strength that those women, the strength that they show, the accomplishments that they've done, is impeccable. God know who to give what to. I promise you. But Lori, so she's almost charged, so she's coming on. But her book will be released in January. But it's about strength. It's about Jillian's story.
So each of you all give an enlightenment on these books that you've touched, because I know you have more than one book. And things that we're pretty much exposing right now is all about that overcoming, triumph, strength, encouragement, because we all need that now more than ever. So just so that you all are aware, I have not forgotten all of those who have either tagged someone, because before it's over, someone is going to be getting a book from each of these authors. Each person is going to get a book. One person is going to get a book. And the authors, as you see here, we have Alonda Barber, we have Miko Kraut, and we also have Dr. Laura Butler. She'll be joining us shortly. And they will be giving away their books. So what you're going to do when you are selected, you will have the opportunity to give your information. You can DM it. Don't put it out there for the public unless you don't mind someone knowing your address. You DM it to either, you can DM it either to dallasdivas.com. You can put it there, or you can put it on Optic T with LonnieB. Okay, you can definitely put it there as well. And then, of course, each of them have their own site that I'm going to put real quickly. When Laura come on, hers is laurabutler.com. You have, of course, mikokraut.com, and of course, you have alondabarber.com. So make sure you look out for who the winners are, and you can at least let them know before we close out. And I see we definitely have. Oh, there you are. Welcome, welcome. Good.
I'm so sorry. I just jumped in. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. We can hear you. So what we have covered thus far, that's okay. You have a great backers here. As they say, they got your back. We had the opportunity to talk a little bit about your book, your first one. So if you don't mind, feel free to talk a little bit about what you've done in regards to this one particular book that Lonnie was giving us a pretty much a recap on. So Lonnie, get her caught up on what exactly you were talking about, and she can just chime in from there.
So Lori, I touched a little bit about overcoming. I said that I would allow you to elaborate on that one. And then I read what you had actually sent me about Jillian's journey, to talk a little bit about that. And so I was just sharing with them the strength that you have shown over the years, and that we always see your strength. And I told him, I said, you know, to know Lori, you would never know that Jillian had a disability,
Mhm.
because you presented the normal life, um, as normal is. And so just talked about your strength, talk about the endurance, but then we also know that, you know, when the doors are shut and no one can see you, that
Right.
there is the, you know, the vulnerability, there's the weakness, you know,
Mhm.
there's the frustrating times. And then of course, you know, we've shared the 18th scenario, the 18th birthday scenario. So that's where I left off, so you can actually take over. Did I do good?
Yes. You
Yes.
did good. You did really good. Yes, the 18th birthday. Yeah, that was quite a lot. Because there's a lot of things that went into that. So I guess the 18th birthday was the uh because I did not want to put her story out um until she was 18. But I was telling Lonnie and Miko really that she is a child with a disability that doesn't know that she has a disability. She's the happiest child that you will ever meet. She has no idea that she has a disability, so she's a child with many abilities. Anybody that meets her, from her physical therapy therapist to her occupational therapist to her teachers, she is the happiest child. And she's always smiling, always laughing. Rarely does she ever cry. Something has to be seriously wrong with her. She's had a displaced hip for probably about 7 years. Um, and she's just lived with it, and they couldn't fix it until she turned 18. If I had a displaced hip, I'd probably be giving, a lot of backlash, because that's just who I am. I have a low pain tolerance, but she did not, and she's just really happy, just a happy child. Like, she has no idea that she has anything. She just is a normal child. I mean, just a really normal child. So I'm telling the story from her perspective with a little bit of my perspective in the book of what I went through, from terms of everybody wants a happy, healthy pregnancy, and what that's like to have to come home um, from the hospital without a child, and leaving a child in a hospital for 72 days, and what that feeling is like. So I'm giving you just a little bit of my perspective, but I'm really telling the story from her perspective, and what it's like from her perspective of, this doctor's appointment, that doctor's appointment, this needle prod, this needle poke, this X-ray, because she had surgery 2 days old, and she had to be flown out of the NICU to a hospital to get a shunt put in, because she had a bleed to the brain, because I had preeclampsia. So I'm telling that from that perspective, so that other people will be touched, and in case another parent has gone through that, they'll know that they're not alone. That is the primary goal, to know that somebody else has gone through it. She got through it. She was happy, and she had no idea. And she's just the happiest child, and she's living with it just fine. And her mother survived it as well. And it'll be okay. You just get up and you get on with it, and life goes on, and you'll be just fine. There'll be hard days, but you carry on.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, for those who just joining us, if you're still tagging your friends out there, this is Optic Tea with Lonnie B. I am Fabian Jackson, your moderator tonight, and I'm having the wonderful time of my life of being able to be in the presence, even though we're not physically touching each other, but being in the presence of strong women who are sharing some great tips on what it is to be an author, how they became an author, and what you can do if this is something that you will love to be a part of. But most importantly, is that part of opening up yourself and being able to be critiqued. Guess what it's going to do for you? It's going to sharpen you. It's like iron sharpening iron. So tonight we have, of course, Dr. Laura Butler. Thank you for getting connected. She was like, I am not going to let technology stop me. Of course, we have Arthur Miko Kraut. and none other than LonnieB. She's the one that's bringing it here for us to make it be possible that we're here through Optic Tea. So here's the thing that I want you all to share. I know you all have some upcoming events. Is that correct? So I would love for us to talk about We Did It. Talk to us a little bit about that. We Did It. That acronym, the DID, is for the Dallas Inspired Divas. You're going to have some tour dates coming up. So how did this all come about, and the three of you locking arms together and making this happen? Who would like to get started with that one?
Miko.
Ooh.
Miko. Hey, we're going to throw you out there, Miko. Go ahead and share about this because it looks great. I love the flyer. I love, what you're calling yourselves. It seems hot. So talk to us about that.
See, along the family, I ought to say you wrong for that.
That's why I can do it.
Well, so it started off with the original authors of the Ghost Rider from Angie Ransom Jones. Once that tour wrapped up, we had some ups and downs. We had some other young ladies on board. They also, they had stories that should be heard, but through some transitions they went through or going through the pandemic in life, they had to back off the tour. We asked Dr. Lori Butler to come on last year. So it was a few other ladies, but it ended up with whatever happens, it happens because for a reason. So it ended up with us three. Lonnie came up with the logo, her graphic design. We ain't gonna give all those props. I'm just kidding.
I didn't come up with the logo. You came up with the Phoenix. I just designed it. Yeah.
You sure?
I'm positive. I would never do a Phoenix. I probably would have done a conservative butterfly.
No, I love butterflies. But the Phoenix, one thing about the Phoenix rises up.
That's right.
It's translucent. I may not say the word right, but the Phoenix just is fire. It's this magnificent bird of this yellow and red and this color of strength. So rise of the Phoenix. X-Men, I love it, but the rise of the Phoenix. I love all sci-fi and all this stuff, but yeah, we wanted to, as authors, being an entrepreneur is difficult, especially being a first-time author. It's difficult getting your story out there, getting your book out there, and what better way of helping others heal and sell your book and tell your story is to collaborate together with healing, selling, business, branding, is to band together as women and as authors to help others. And Lonnie, you may want to add to it because it's always a little missing piece, a little gaps in there.
No, I think we covered it all. One of the things that we did is that we wanted every author story to be different on the tour. No story is the only way that it's alike is that we went from tragedy to triumph. And so that was one of the things that we were looking for. And it's interesting because when we all came together, we all only had one book. And since then, Lori's getting ready to do 2. I'm getting ready to do 4th. Miko, well, who knows? What is it, 5, 6?
Hopefully I'm not doing another one, then it'll pop up. But I said I'm stopping. You never know.
But that was the thing, is that everyone's writing, everyone has a story to tell. There are those who will share their story, and in sharing their story, it gives you the opportunity to actually be able to let, if it's just one person, know that they're not alone. So many times we say everything that you've gone through, it's been written in the good book. Well, in the flesh, everything that you're going through, there's somebody who's going through it. Their story is just different. So, yeah.
So I'm going to put that back up again. I like that. We did it. So I will tell each of you that are listening right now, connect with each of these ladies on their own page as well as on the DallasDiva.com page so that you can know when they're going to be launching out these tour dates because it is coming soon. It's going to be very, very interesting. I really do. I just can't wait for it to come out. So, you know, I'm going to be there. I'm your fan right now. Okay. So I will definitely be there. For each of you to reach out to you all, I know you said it earlier, so I'm going to put up each of your social media accounts. So, Lori Butler, you have here, we can reach you at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All righty.
And
So,
then
you
my
all.
website is theloributler.com.
Awesome. And then, of course, we have Miko. I have your, tell me what we have your Facebook, you're on Twitter as well, and Instagram.
I am. I'm on Facebook as author Miko Crowd, Instagram at Miko Crowd, and Twitter at Miko Crowd.
Awesome. And then, of course, we have our LonnieB Percibility. We can reach you as well as Facebook, Twitter. You're on Instagram as well.
Yes, I am.
All right.
Under
So go
both.
ahead and tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on my website at www.alondabarber.com, and that'll lead you to all my other websites.
Awesome.
I will share, Fabian, if they're wanting to reach all three of us, and they don't remember any of our personal, they can reach us at Dallas Inspired Divas, and it'll take them to to our personal Facebook pages. Two things I also want to share is that for those who are interested in purchasing all three books, they can purchase all three books for a discounted price of $30. They'll just go to our Dallas Inspired Divas page, leave us a comment, submit a comment letting us know, and we'll actually get those out to them. And then as well as myself, Miko, and Lori are also speakers. So if you ever need someone to come and speak, or if you want to actually, if you have a book club and you want us to come as all three or individually, we're definitely open to that. And you would just go to the personal websites and to reach out to each one of us.
All righty. So here you have it. So now I am going to leave it up to you all. So Lonnie, I think I'm going to turn that one over to you. You select who you would like to receive these wonderful books because I see a lot of tagging going on there. So let's see.
Well, while I'm doing
a lot of tagging going on.
We did. While I'm doing that, let me go all the way back through the comments.
Yes.
But while I'm doing that, I do have to pay our bill. Tonight we are supported by Bridget Lee Owens of Be Extraordinarily Sleek Boutique. She's actually in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but she is actually all the way, she can actually deliver or ship wherever she needs to. Please reach out to her either by her phone number and or her Facebook page. Of course, that beautiful logo was designed by LonnieB Creative Designs. So going through, thank you, Bridget, for supporting Optic Tea with LonnieB. Going through, we have Wanda Kane, who was the first to come on. Monique Chandler did a lot of tagging.
A lot.
We have.
And then you had another one from a Twitch, Bubba.
I did have a Twitch. I'm not sure who it was. Yes, that was our first Twitch person who comes on. But some of the comments, and I think maybe after the show we can decide who'll get the book. Our ladies, unless you all know, but I want to say Nisi Ewing, who was my guest last week, is tuning in tonight, and she said that I can relate. Mothers are so amazing. Miko, that's when you were talking about Aunt Gloria.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to get to Lori's comments. Some of the comments for Lori were staying positive, regardless of the circumstance, staying happy. And then there was Nisi Ewing said, strength is something that is absolutely shared on the stage. Seeing
Mhm.
more of this provides hope to those who felt they lost it or has lost it.
Mhm.
And author Carrie Thomas came on, and I don't know where her comments went.
You
I
mean
saw
that one, each person?
yes. So you can read that one.
Each person's transparency is really needed when sharing the story. So she's referring to you all. It encourages those who are currently struggling in your situation. Thank you. Though this is what it's all about. You're
Yes.
sharing it with others. I mean, how much this is a priceless gift that you're giving to everyone right now on how to overcome. You're not alone. The struggle definitely is real. You can keep pushing. You can keep pushing, and you can keep getting until you get the result that you desire. You can't stop. So we're winding down here. I want, if it's okay with you all, because we're already going to figure out how we're going to get this up here. We know that the upcoming projects are taking place. With all that is going on from real life, whether it's fiction or not, but the real life that we're faced with right now, something that you can think of, whether it be something fun or something encouraging, it doesn't matter. You be you. Say your last words to someone that could be listening to you tonight. They've never heard of you before. And now they're listening to you, or someone just tag them and say, hey, listen to this here topic about authors and about overcoming and encouragement and strength. What is something that you can tell them, whether it's funny, something that you did when you first got started and you were able to overcome that one, or whether it's something that's more serious and dear to your heart? It doesn't matter what it is. You go ahead and leave these words with them. Who wants to be the first person?
We're gonna let Dr. Lori start since she came in late with us because of
Ah,
technical difficulties.
that's
Okay.
why I
And
need
let
to
me
start
share this.
first, Nico. I can go live.
Yes, you may go long.
You want to give her a little bit
I
more
would
time?
say,
Definitely, I will start out just in the sense of with when I laugh at myself because oftentimes I'm always extending myself on helping so many people or doing things. And in the midst of when you're trying to find yourself, you said it earlier, Mika, about shutting down at social media. Well, for me, sometimes it's shutting the doors and the windows of the outside noises so that I can be able to focus on what I really need to be focused on. It may sound very, what do I say, juvenile or very basic, but it is the truth. No matter how many successful people you speak to, that is one of the rule of thumbs that they always talk about. How do you close out the outside noises so that you can remain focused on what it is that you need to do? So that's something that has been that true learning curve for me. But because I'm so much of a giver, Lonnie and I talked about that, it's kind of hard sometimes to just sit back and say, you know what, this is about Fabian this time. And I'm going to make it happen because 2021 is around the corner. And we need to make a difference on that. So what would you say, Nico, to that person who's listening and say, you know what, besides just do it, they got these shackles on their feet, or they just have some weights that's just not letting them get up. And it's not the 5 pound weight either. What would you tell them?
You know, that's funny because if you look in any of my books, you would see a comment about having virtual chains, and that's one thing about what I transitioned to. People made comments to me that I had virtual chains on me, and I didn't know how to live life again. So I tell anyone, no matter what you're going through, do it with a smile. Be happy. Live in your pure happiness. Um, people think just because people say they're happy, being happy is not that everything is perfect. It's just being happy in your own space. Live your pure life and live it to the best you can, because life is short. The pandemic showed us what that is. So life is short. Live it to the fullest, live it to the best you can, and just focus on being happy. And the hardest thing that a person can do, but is needed, is you have to cut off those people who are not making you happy. It's not easy. It's not fun. It's needed. Even with, people say, you can't cut off family. You can cut off family. It doesn't mean you don't love them. But if you're going to be happy, for your own health, because happiness ties into your health. Because if you're not mentally happy, you are dying inside. And I would tell anyone, just be happy, live in your truth, and do what's best for you. Because if you can't do what's best for you, especially if you have kids, you can't help them because you can't help yourself.
Mhm.
And my boys have taught me that, because the one thing I had this guilt about relocating, and the number one thing they all say is, "Girl, go be happy." And I'm like, first of all, you don't call me girl, but yeah.
All right. Lonnie, you have anything you want to share? Oh,
No, I'll let Lori go.
okay. Lori?
Can you guys still hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. I would just say, for me, I have had different situations in my life, obviously, and I had to learn, just being an only child, that things, especially after my mother died, I would say for me, was my biggest hurdle, when I didn't have my mother, because we were more like, sisters rather than mother and daughter, because I could always tell her anything, and she instilled that in me as I grew up. So for me, just learning, to embrace whatever situation that I was in at the time, whether it be good, bad, or ugly, and just sit in it and learn from whatever that experience is and what it's trying to teach me. So I had to learn that after my mother passed, that it was a teachable moment, whatever it is. And I just had to sit in it and embrace it.
I like that. Thank you so much. And closing out with Miss Lonnie.
For me, it's always the same, and it's walking your truth. It took me 38 years. And when I say walking your truth, I mean to walk in your truth. Stop allowing yourself to be defined by what people think you should be, what they think you should do, how they think you should do it, how they think it should be done in your world. You're the only one who knows what the true inside of you really is. And so for me, it took me 38 years to learn to walk in my truth, to stop being defined by everyone else, because I kept piling on everyone else's things of what I should be, how I should do it, because I was a dysfunctional wreck, you'll learn in my book. But for me, it's walking your truth and be okay. Never compromise your character, never compromise your integrity, and definitely continue to walk in the new words of my Godfather, your strength and your courage.
Thank you, ladies. Dallas Divas is what I'm going to nickname you all, but I do appreciate you all sharing everything that you've shared with us this evening. As I said before, everyone, please stay tuned to listen out for the We Did It. That's something that's going to be great and inspiring for all those who want to get to the next level in their life. I thank you all. Listen out for those who are going to be the winners, because these books, we're going to be giving them away. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.